Hi everybody, I'm Michael. I'm a landscape architect and environmentalist, and today we're going to talk about the Sinbad Begonia and how you can care for your plant as well as propagate. So, are you ready to dig in? Let's grow! Okay, so this is the Sinbad Begonia. It has these wonderful polka dots. It's we're going to speak to the plant characteristics now, and also stay tuned to the end of our video because we're going to have clips of the plants up close and have some more detailed written instructions. But we're going to talk about the plant characteristics and plant care, and then we'll talk about propagation. So you may recall back in December, late December, we did a plant haul at Fairchild Tropical Botanic Gardens, and they had the Sinbad for sale. So we picked it up, got a little discount, but the character of this plant tends to grow like grows a little leggy. So we made a cutting here. We cut the plant here, and I think in another location, and we put some in water, and we put some directly in some soil. The one in soil is already rooted. These other two you can see are rooted in water. But the plant tends to grow like a small tree. This type of begonia. So it has these wonderful pebbly leaves in a typical angel wing shape, and it has these beautiful like salmon red veins that cut through it, and just hundreds and hundreds of beautiful little polka dots. And the begonia will flower pretty much year round when they're happy. She's got blooms right here. She's got some more blooms here. Even our cutting picked up a bloom. It just fell off before this video. But the plant really is interesting. It was too leggy for us to have her just this way. I wanted to put more of new plants inside there to get it more bushy. So that's what we did. That's why we did the cuttings. For your typical plant care for the plant, now that I've talked about the characteristics here, one more thing about the characteristics. It may not come out in the video as close, but this can get the stems can get kind of burgundy color. Right now it's kind of a mottled, warm brown, but at times it gets this reddish burgundy color, which is kind of cool, but they're very thick. For plant care, when I mentioned bright light or highlight, those are synonymous. University of Florida IFAS uses the term highlight, aka bright light, for the foot candles ranging from 250 to 500 foot candles. That's what your Sinbad Begonia wants, ideally. It can go a little bit higher as long as it's not direct sunlight cutting in, but the higher up to that 500 foot candle range, the better, and the more leaves you'll get, and definitely more blooms you'll get. So now that I've talked about that, I want to go back and talk a little bit about the soil that I mentioned. We use the 1 knuckle, 2 knuckle method. When you water these once a week, you can also check and see if you water it a little bit too much and you flooded the top of the container and it just didn't drain all the way through. Stick your finger up to 2 inches down, and if it comes back dry without that much soil on like this, that means it's ready to go and get watered again. So that's just a trick, that a little grow tip that we'd like to share with you on watering. For fertilizer, we like to water our begonia from right now, basically late April, May, all the way through September. We use a Jax 20-20-20, and she's responding very well to that. For pests, this plant doesn't seem to get a lot of pests. They're known for getting mealybugs, outside I think aphids, but we haven't had, and spider mice is a chronic thing for us down here in Miami, but we haven't had any issues indoors with ours, so we're very happy with that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut off so I can set up, and we'll talk a little bit more about propagation. All right, let's go on to the next step. For propagating your Sinbad Begonia, all you need to do is just take a cutting. We highly recommend washing your hands with alcohol. I mentioned that in some of my other videos, and your cutting shears, because whenever you're touching a plant, you don't want to move any pathogens into the plant that you're cutting through. So we took a few cuttings. I said 2, but I think we may have had a long stalk and cut that stalk because we basically have 4 cuttings here, 4 in water and 1 we put directly in soil. So when you take the cutting, all you have to do is place them in water and wait about a month, and you're gonna get all these wonderful little roots. She is chock-a-block full and ready to go. So this is typical of all these begonias here in the growing in water. Just tons and tons of beautiful new roots. So we're gonna take two of these and put them in leca, which is this clay pebble that we do for our orchids and for several of our plants. We have a hybrid solution at home here. We have some plants growing in soil and some growing in this leca, which is just a clay aggregate, which some plants just love and respond very well to. So this is a net called a net container, and this is the cash po, or the cash po container that holds the water that helps service the pebbles in the plant. So it's really simple with leca. All you have to do is put a little bit of pebbles on the base, and then you're going to put your plant on top of it and fill more leca and put it in this larger container. The premise for leca, so it's easier to see in my hands. The premise for leca is that it's a light clay aggregate. It actually stands for, you may have heard this from my other videos, light expanded clay aggregate, leca, and it has all these tiny little pores in there, and they communicate with each other. When water hits the bottom of this pebble, it wicks up to the next pebble, and that's how it gives you just the right amount of leca that you need, water that you need for your plant. So all you need to do is put your guys in here. I'm going to tilt this to you, and we'll go in there and show you a little bit more later when we're all done. But that's how you set it. You set it in the container on that top layer of leca. Try to make sure you get a little spot so you can set your plant the way you want them to grow. I want ours to kind of bush out. So I'm going to put one this way. I'm going to have this guy slide over here so they have some room. And then because they're rooted in water, you want to be careful when you put the leca back in. And I just sort of set it in carefully with a few little pebbles, and then I fill it more later. And you can see what I'm doing there. You just keep adding and adding till you get to the top. And it's like really that simple. Here, let me lean it to you again so you can see some more. And away we go. Almost there. Oh, last one. Now what we'll do is, in a minute, I'm going to set this aside, because the next step you do here, here's the completed, process is complete. Now you could, after you set these in there, because you added leca all the way up to the top, you could jostle this around a little bit more so you can get your plants to go a little more upright. And that's a little thing I do, is I first just get it set where I get the leca in there, and the leca starts to become the soil for your plant. And come back in there and add a few more here and there, just to help sturdy the plant. And now we have another baby. Look at that, a little cute little baby Sinbad. Oh, we're gonna zoom in later and show you the underside of these leaves. Are just so pretty. It's got that red and then these little beautiful white polka dots, hundreds of them. So we did the leca. Here's one that we've already potted directly in soil from a cutting, and it took off. We just had it on the shelf in there for a while. She's doing fine. But now what I'm going to do here is that our mama is still looking leggy. So what I did was, before kind of where I put my finger in there, I opened up a hole inside the container here, so I can put one of the rooted cuttings there. And I'm going to come over to this side, push in a hole with the shovel, just enough just to break the soil, and did it here, and I did it there. And now all you have to do is take your cutting, and I'll go in there, and it's real simple. You just go into that side of that hole. We'll zoom in a second and show you when it's all done. Put your plant in, backfill it with the soil around it. And use your fingers carefully to sort of tamp it down. Now we have a baby growing with the mama. And then this one has a lot more roots, so I'm gonna go a little deeper inside the base here. And slide her down in there. I'm gonna pull this closer to me for a second, y'all. So I can get, show you the end. Still need to go deeper. There we go. So, put this back. Here. Down. Come around on this side. Make sure she's not wobbling. Add some water in a second. Go to that next step. And can't really lean it that much. Ooh. But we'll come in in a minute when we do the written care instructions, and we'll zoom in so you can see, and we'll point to what we did. Ooh, look at this. So proud of her. So now we have Mama and her two babies going back in there. So hopefully she'll fill out some more for us, so we can have some more growth on this side with these guys here. And I may take some more cuttings, and as these start to fill out some more as well. So we just keep, and we can repeat. I have room for like two more locations to go in here. So I want an old nice full Sinbad. So we'll do that, and then this one will just be her own plant. So what we're going to do now is break for a second. I'm going to go get some water, and we're going to show you up close what we did with the plants here, and show you what we do to water in the new the Sinbad in the Leca. And then after that, we're just going to skip over to the care instructions, and then then we'll come back and do we'll end the video with a little summary talk. So here are the two that we cut, and I'm just going to water in. Lean over here and water them in where I push them through the soil. Now, because it was dry, I'm going to come back there with my finger like I did earlier, and I'm going to press down and make sure that it gets nice and tight, and you don't get any air pockets in there. So now it's a little more stabilized. I'm going to do this guy, little one now. You may not be able to see it because the leaves are so big, but now you just water around the base there, because the whole plant actually needs water. So I'm just going to water all the way around for the mama and the babies. And then as the water drains through, I'm going to come back here with my finger, and at the base of the stalk here, I'm just going to tamp it down to make sure that there's no air pockets in this. It's firmly in the soil, not too tight, firm enough so it's not wobbly. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it for planting in soil. And then you just need to watch it. We're going to water regularly because we have that nice soil mix that we mentioned already. But for the one in Leca, and here you can see, you can also see, look how beautiful these leaves are, right? Aren't they spectacular? See those little, it's very pebbly, little white dots. So pretty. Oh, and you see that little red salmon. And if you look underneath, look at that venation, so pretty. So this is the container, it's dry. So what we want to do is fill in the bottom quarter of that with water. And next month we can add a real light fertilizer. Begonia is kind of tough. And set your begonia in that, and that is it. I'm going to water down off the side because this was growing in water, just off the top, but just a little bit to wet the Leca on top so that they have a head start and keep the moisture on the plant, because these were growing in water. And we'll monitor this just to make sure she's not drying out. You want to add a little bit more. If your cutting has a lot of roots up and down the stalk, you want to go close to that bottom layer of the leca. Normally, most people set the bottom quarter of this container in here before you put any roots, before you put any plant. But if you have a long stalk with lots of roots, you don't want any roots sticking out up here, so you just can push it down, go just below that, go to 1/8, and then you just pull out a little bit more water out of the base of here, so you don't have water sitting on the roots. That's the main thing with leca. You don't want the roots sitting in water. Now, what we have noticed on many of our plants is that they will adapt and grow in the water. That's fine if the plant decides to send the roots and grow in the water here. And with these, like we'll say in the care instructions, right after this, we change this out once a month, the water, and we put new water in, and we also flush the pebbles, the plant here, with just some tap water to get any buildup of any salts that come with when you're putting liquid fertilizer. You'll see this little white is cast to the plant. But here they are. We have these 3 new begonias. Well, actually, mama and the babies, and some babies have come back home to the nest. So we'll shift over to care instructions, and then we'll summarize. So we want to thank you for stopping by. And one more thing, I know you probably saw it in the care instructions, but I wanted to mention, I did mention it earlier, is that when you're taking a cutting, you should remove, say you're taking a cutting from here, remove these 2 lower leaves. Plants go through a little bit of stress when you're going through this, obviously, when you're going through that process. But cut off those leaves before you put them in water or soil. That's an important tip I forgot to mention earlier, but I want to thank you all for stopping by today. And if you have any questions, please just leave them in the comments box below, and I'll make sure I get back to you. Until next time, bye.
If you found value in this video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We post weekly. Thanks.